If I Were You by Gary Turchin. Hey, that's me. Yeah. To whom it may concern, I tell myself, if I were you, I'd wake up every morning and I'd say, wow, holy mackerel, amazing. Then I'd put my clothes on backwards just to make sure I wasn't going in the wrong direction in the first place. If I were you, I'd smile with my eyes and listen with my nose. KNOWS. I'd eat oranges and avocados, play with friends, laugh, cry, sing, shout, think on my feet, and dance on my toes. Because if I were you, I'd be a human being with a big, beautiful human heart beating inside of me, and there's nothing wrong with that. If I were you, I'd sit under a nectarine tree in the August heat, and I'd eat as many nectarines as I could. And if someone said, "You're gonna get sick," I'd say, "You gotta be crazy. No one gets sick of nectarines." If I were you, I wouldn't stray too far from the sun, but I wouldn't play too close to it either. An Earth's distance away is just about right. If I were you, I'd find a spot somewhere on Earth and I'd call it my spot. And I'd go sit on my spot every once in a while, and I'd listen to whatever it had to say in whatever language it had to say it, because spots know things only spots can know. Then I'd say, "Thanks, Spot. You really hit the spot." If I were you, I wouldn't try to fix Dad's pocket watch, the one that belonged to his dad. It hasn't worked in years, and I wouldn't go near the little screws in the back, as tempting as they are, because once I unscrewed them and turned the watch over, there would be no going back in time. If I were you, I'd tell time by sundial. The only moving part is the sun, and at night it turns itself off to save batteries. If I were you, I'd root for dandelions to be accepted as flowers, and for sunflowers to spread like dandelions across soccer fields and golf courses, out of sidewalk cracks next to parking meters and no U-turn signs. Everywhere you turn, sunflowers. If I were you, I'd believe in cats and curiosity and 9 lives worth of second chances and do-overs. And I'd get some of my spiritual training from a preacher named Buddy or Spot or Duke. If I were you, I'd invest in rainbows. They'll always be worth something, no matter who's in charge. If I were you, I'd make sure there was sand between my toes every day, not one day off. If I were you, I'd get angry once in a while, I would, but I wouldn't stay angry, I wouldn't. And I'd complain too, but not too much. Go ahead, complain, that's enough. If I were you, I'd root for the home team. If we don't win, it's more than a shame. If I were you, I'd never let my skepticism trump my enthusiasm. If I were you, I'd make friends with a giraffe. They have the biggest hearts, and that's all you need to know about giraffes or friends. And I'd invent something that could save the world, if it ever needed saving, and hopefully it won't, but if it did, I'd let the world use my invention free of charge if I were you. I'd get a job that didn't feel like a job because doing it is all I ever wanted to do. And if someone full of importance were to stop and say, eventually you'll have to get a real job, I'd say, well, eventually you'll have to get a real dream if I were you. I'd learn to make 1,000 things out of chocolate and only one thing out of Jell-O. If I were you, I'd drop my leaves every autumn because growing them back is one of life's greatest pleasures. If I were you, I'd quit caterpillaring around and start butterflying. If I were you, I'd believe in forever, and I'd thank my lucky stars that forever believed in me. If I were you, I'd go to bed every night and I'd say, wow, holy mackerel, was that amazing or what? Thank you, gracias, arigato, mahalo, merci, shishi, spasiba, asante, thanks. Sweet dream. Thanks for listening to If I Were You. I'm Gary Turchin, and here's wishing you another beautiful day in a beautiful world, in a beautiful life. Bye.